land over!
No. What was that?
She hit him!
Everyone stay seated. He brought this on himself.
Did I?
Your family is finished here.
That land is not yours.
It will be tomorrow.
Stay out of
They
it.
should have a sealed parcel number. Answer me.
Phone's on the table. Now!
Why?
Do it!
You can't erase what happened. He threatened us.
When? I heard no threat. Nobody leaves!
Apologize and sign.
No, you're making this worse. For whom?
Your daughter loses everything.
Leave her out of it.
Chief, this has gone too far.
Sit down.
Everyone saw her.
Good. Give me that phone. No. Who keeps calling you?
Someone you should have answered years ago.
Take it from him.
Don't touch him.
Chief, there are witnesses. I gave an order, and they heard it.
Stop him!
End that call!
Back away! Connect me!
To who? The sealed file!
Confirm the phrase.
Phrase.
Open the sealed file. Chief, what does that mean?
Hang up!
Those cars are surrounding us! State investigators!
They're here for him! No. Lock the doors. Do not touch those phones.
Who are they here for?
Chief, step away from the table.
The dining room went silent when the police chief's daughter struck the black farmer across the face. His water glass trembled, but he did not raise his voice. Why had she demanded he surrender land his family had worked for generations? Why did the chief suddenly order every phone in the room put away? And why did the quiet farmer seem more concerned about one missed call than the red mark on his cheek? He reached into his worn jacket, dialed a number from memory, and said only, "Open the sealed file." Before dessert arrived, patrol cars surrounded the building. Not for him. Stay until the end, because the secret behind that dinner had already ruined lives. Put every phone on the table. Chief Malcolm Hale's voice cut through the banquet room at 8:17 p.m. Chairs stopped scraping. A fork struck china near the back wall, sharp beneath the chandelier hum. No one leaves. Isaiah Reed remained beside his chair. His cheek burned in the cool air. Across the white cloth, his water glass trembled with the engines gathering outside. Victoria Hale stared at him. "What did you do?" Isaiah checked his brass wristwatch. The second hand had stopped between two marks. "I made a call." "To whom?" Malcolm asked. "Someone who answers sealed files." A guest raised his phone. Malcolm snapped. "Down. Now." Devices appeared beside dessert spoons and folded napkins. Some obeyed quickly. Others turned their screens face down. Allison Park, the waitress near the service doors, set down her tray. Her thumb rested against her apron pocket. "Staff, too," Malcolm said. "I'm working." "You're preserving evidence." Victoria gave a thin laugh. "Evidence of what? A farmer causing a scene?" Isaiah bent, retrieved his late wife's photograph, and brushed salt from one corner before returning it to his jacket. "He didn't cause it," someone said. Maeve Carter, the county archive clerk, stood at table 6, gripping a folded program. Her voice shook, but she stayed upright. Malcolm's mouth hardened. "Ms. Carter, sit down. I saw the seal on his document." Victoria stepped toward her. "You saw nothing." Maeve looked at Isaiah. The notary named there died before that filing date. No one moved. Then headlights swept across the windows. A county sedan stopped beneath the portico, followed by 2 unmarked vehicles and a records van. Rain tapped against the glass. Malcolm lifted his radio. "Who authorized this?" "I did." Captain Owen Brooks entered, carrying a gray evidence case. 44, broad-shouldered, rain shining on his close-shaved head, he crossed the marble with 2 investigators behind him. "This is a private event," Malcolm said. Brooks surveyed the phones covering the tables. "Not anymore." Victoria pointed at Isaiah. "He threatened us in front of witnesses." Brooks kept his eyes on Malcolm. "Was Mr. Reed prevented from leaving?" "Temporary detention," Malcolm replied. Isaiah spoke quietly. "Service corridor, windowless room, written threat against my property." "And his credentials?" Brooks asked. "Expired." Isaiah removed a folded letter and placed it beside the stopped watch. "That one isn't." Brooks opened it. He did not read the title aloud, but recognition tightened his face. Malcolm noticed. What is that? A problem you were warned not to create. You're in my jurisdiction. Brooks closed the folder. Tonight, jurisdiction is the first thing we're auditing. An investigator sealed the entrance with an evidence notice. Another began photographing every phone. Allison withdrew hers from her apron and laid it screen up. A red recording timer was still moving. Victoria's lips parted. Malcolm looked from the phone to Isaiah, then to the watch lying motionless on the table. Outside, the records van opened. A technician carried in a box marked with the parcel number of Isaiah's farm. At 6:45 that morning, Isaiah pressed his thumb into the damp edge of the notice nailed to the barn door. The red foreclosure seal had bled into the paper overnight. A drop of fog slid from one corner and struck his boot. Lena stood behind him with 2 mugs of coffee. Tell me that isn't what I think it is. It says auction. When? 48 hours. She set a mug on the fence post too hard. Coffee jumped over the rim. That debt was challenged in March. It still is? Then why is this here? The barn smelled of wet timber and cedar oil from Miriam's old seed drawers. Wind moved through the rows. Call the commission, Lena said. Not yet. You chair it. Which is why I don't use the title to fix my own case. They are taking our house. They're trying to. Don't go to that dinner tonight. I was invited. You were displayed. There's a difference. He flattened the notice beneath a rusted wrench. The parcel number ended with the digits for the west acreage, not the homestead. That's wrong. Yes. So we use it. We document it. She photographed the page. Pale light exposed a second signature pressed beneath the ink. Mud clung to their boots. The irrigation pipe clicked in the cold. The county sent 3 notices, Lena said. Different totals, same due date. Read the amounts. She did. Isaiah stopped beside a leaning fence post. The middle figure matches the Harrow farm. The place sold last winter? For less than half its value. You think this is connected? I think numbers don't wander by themselves. The wind lifted the notice. Isaiah caught it before it reached the mud. For a moment, the red seal covered the brass watch on his wrist. Mom made you promise, didn't she? She asked me not to let silence become agreement. That's not the same as risking everything. No. He handed the page back. It costs more. They entered Miriam's seed room. Beneath packets marked spring beans, Lena found an envelope. Inside was a photograph of Miriam with 3 neighboring farmers beside a survey map. 2 of those farms had been sold. On the back, Miriam had written, "Ask why the same deputy came before every appraisal." How long have you had this? Lena asked. I haven't. A car door shut outside. A county assessor in a tan coat stood beside the barn with Officer Daniel Crow, 36, one hand resting on his notebook. Mr. Reed, the assessor called, we're here for a preliminary access inspection. Isaiah stayed on the threshold. Cold air rolled across the floor. You have a court order? Chief Hale said cooperation would be easier. For whom? Crow glanced at the notice. Sir, they told us the property was already cleared. It wasn't. The officer studied the parcel number. That isn't this house. The assessor's smile vanished. Write down exactly what you said, Isaiah told Crow. You don't need to record a clerical issue, the assessor snapped. Crow opened his notebook anyway. Behind them, the kitchen phone rang through the farmhouse window. Once, twice. It stopped before Lena reached it. A second later, Isaiah's mobile lit with a message from an unknown number. Come to the dinner alone. Bring the original deed. At 7:06 p.m., Isaiah parked behind the Pine Hollow Civic Hall and read the message again. Come to the dinner alone. Bring the original deed. He locked the deed in the truck's steel box. Inside, air carried roasted onions and cider. Chandeliers lit marble. Mud from Isaiah's boots left 2 dark prints before he reached the mat. A woman in black stopped him. "You're late," she said, pointing to a crate. "Kitchen entrance is around back." "I'm here for dinner." She eyed his jacket. "Carry that in first." Isaiah lifted the box. Glass jars clicked. A waitress hurried over, adjusting copper glasses. "Ms. Hale, he's on the guest list." Victoria Hale turned. "Name?" "Isaiah Reed." "The farmer." Her face did not change. "Table 12." Isaiah set the crate down. "My father said you might come," Victoria said. "He didn't say you'd bring half your field." A donor laughed. Isaiah took a cloth from the waitress's tray and cleaned one print. The other remained near the center of the floor, shaped like a broken leaf. "You don't have to," she said. "I know." Allison Park, 33. "Thank you, Allison." At the podium, Chief Malcolm Hale greeted officials with a polished smile. Seeing Isaiah, his hand tightened around the lectern. "There he is," Malcolm announced. "One of our local farmers." Heads turned. Mr. Reed has had difficulty meeting county obligations, but tonight is about solutions. "The debt is disputed," Isaiah said. "The county has been patient. 3 notices. 3 totals. Administrative errors happen. Not to the same 11 families." The microphone carried his words across the room. Fork slowed. Grant Voss, 56, a broad developer with a burgundy pocket square, rose. "This isn't the place for accusations. I asked a question. You made an insinuation." Victoria stepped between them. "Sit down, Mr. Reed." His chair faced a decorative wall. Allison placed water before him. "Someone moved your place card." "Who?" Her eyes shifted toward Victoria. "I didn't see." Across the room, archive clerk Maeve Carter noticed Miriam's photograph showing from Isaiah's pocket. She folded her program and looked away. Dinner began. Silverware chimed. Heat pressed against Isaiah's collar. A cold draft moved beneath the cloth. Malcolm approached during the first course. "You brought the deed?" "No." "You were instructed to." "By an unsigned message." Malcolm leaned closer. "You're making this harder for Lena." Isaiah's spoon stopped above the soup. "My daughter isn't part of this." "She will be when the property transfers." "That sounds decided." "It can still be civilized." "Officer Crow visited without an order." "A courtesy inspection." "He recorded the wrong parcel number." Malcolm glanced toward Grant, who was already watching. Victoria returned with a cream folder stamped with the foundation seal and set it beside Isaiah's plate. "Then let's settle this before dessert." The sale agreement offered barely enough to clear the invented debt. On page 2, Isaiah found a registry code from a file sealed 12 years earlier. He touched the number once. Victoria slid a pen toward him. "Sign?" Isaiah pushed the document back. "How did your foundation get this code?" Victoria did not answer. A server lowered a plate between them. Brown sauce slid across the china and gathered beside the signature line. "Move that," Victoria said. Allison reached for the plate, but Isaiah placed 2 fingers on the contract. "Leave it." Victoria's smile thinned. "You came asking for help." "I came because your father invited me. And we're offering a solution. $218,000 for land appraised at $900. Grant Voss leaned closer. "That appraisal assumes working irrigation and no tax burden. I repaired the irrigation Tuesday." Not according to the county report. The inspector never entered the property. Ice shifted in pitchers. Cold air crept beneath Isaiah's cuffs. Malcolm pulled out the empty chair beside him. "Sign tonight," the chief said, "and the debt disappears." Debts don't disappear. This one can. Because it was created to be removed? Victoria tapped the pen against the folder. "Watch your tone." Isaiah turned page 2 toward Malcolm. "Why is a sealed registry number on a private foundation contract?" Malcolm glanced down. Old county reference. It was never public. You've been away from government work a long time. Not long enough to forget filing rules. Grant reached for the document. Isaiah folded it once and kept it under his palm. "That belongs to the foundation," Victoria said. "The copy does." Her eyes moved to his jacket. "You brought the original deed." "No." The pen stopped tapping. Malcolm leaned close enough for Isaiah to smell coffee and peppermint. "At 8 tomorrow, county assessors will enter the West Tract." "With a court order?" "With police support." "For a civil appraisal?" "For public safety." Isaiah looked past him. Maeve Carter listened behind her menu. Allison waited near the service door with an untouched water pitcher. "Officer Crow wrote that the parcel number was wrong," Isaiah said. "Crow lacks context. He wrote what he saw." Victoria pushed the contract beneath Isaiah's hand. The sauce had reached the blank line, leaving a crescent where his name was meant to go. "You have until dessert," she said. "After that, the offer drops." "To what?" "Enough to keep your daughter from inheriting a lawsuit." Isaiah's thumb tightened against the paper. "Leave Lena out of it." "Then protect her." Grant lowered his voice. "Farms fail. Families move on. Don't make your child carry a losing fight." Isaiah studied him. "How many families did you tell that to?" Grant's chair creaked. Victoria glanced toward nearby guests. "You are embarrassing yourself." "No," Maeve said from table 6. She stared at the registry code. "That format hasn't been used since the sealed transfers." Malcolm rose. "Miss Carter, this is not county business." "It became county business when you printed that number." Maeve's fingers trembled around her program. "I archived those files." Only the ventilation system hummed. Victoria snatched the pen from the table and pointed it at Isaiah. "Apologize, now, in front of everyone." Isaiah lifted the stained contract, folded it along the sauce mark, and slipped it into his jacket. "No." Victoria stepped around the table before Malcolm could stop her. Victoria crossed between the tables. "Give me that contract." Isaiah kept one hand inside his jacket over the folded pages. "You named my daughter to force my signature. I offered protection. You threatened her." A candle bent in the draft. Behind the service doors, a tray struck metal. Victoria raised her voice. "You entered covered in mud, accused my family of fraud, and stole foundation property. The copy was placed before me. Return it." "No." Her palm struck his cheek. A water glass jumped against a plate. One silver spoon rolled from the table, spinning beneath the chandelier light. No one reached for it. Isaiah steadied himself against his chair. Heat spread beneath his eye, while cold air touched his damp collar. "Now apologize," Victoria said. "For what?" Malcolm stepped between them. "That's enough." "To whom?" Isaiah asked. Grant Voss rose. "Chief, remove him." Allison set down her pitcher. Water ran over her knuckles. "He never touched her." Victoria turned. "You were serving." "I was standing here." Maeve Carter pushed back her chair. "I saw it too." Malcolm scanned the guests. "Sit down. This is a private misunderstanding." "It happened in public," Maeve said. A man covered his phone with a napkin. Someone whispered, "Did anyone record it?" "All devices stay put away," Malcolm ordered. Isaiah bent for the contract. Something slipped from his pocket and landed beside the rolling spoon. Miriam smiled from an old photograph, one hand shielding her eyes from summer sun. Behind her stood the seed barn before its paint faded. Victoria glanced down. "Is that supposed to make us feel sorry for you?" Isaiah lifted the picture by its edges. "No." He brushed away a grain of salt. The room smelled of gravy, candle wax, and wet wool. "She found the first forged parcel," he said. Malcolm's jaw tightened. "Put that away." "She wrote your office 6 times. "That is irrelevant. She died waiting for one answer." The spoon lost momentum and lay still. Maeve pressed a hand to her mouth. "I remember those letters." "You remember nothing official," Malcolm said. "I logged them." Victoria folded her arms. "This is a performance." Isaiah returned the photograph to his pocket. "Then let the documents speak." "You are done speaking." 2 officers entered. The older one reached for Isaiah's elbow, then hesitated when Allison stepped into the aisle. "He didn't threaten anyone," she said. "Ma'am, move back." "Ask the room." No one answered. People who had applauded speeches about community now studied their plates. Only Maeve remained standing. Malcolm pointed toward the service doors. "Escort Mr. Reed out. He is disrupting an official function." Isaiah buttoned his jacket. His fingers missed once before closing around the stopped brass watch. "Am I free to leave?" "You'll wait while we document the incident." "In the administrative room?" "Yes." Victoria placed the pen beside the sauce-stained line. "You could still make this easy." Isaiah passed her without looking back. As the officers guided him into the narrow corridor, Allison lowered her tray onto an empty chair. Beneath the folded napkins, her phone screen glowed red. The recording timer had never stopped. The red timer on Allison's phone reached 1842 as the service door shut behind Isaiah. Daniel Crow walked on his left. Sergeant Cal Rowan, 41, broad-shouldered and rigidly neat, took the right. "Hands where I can see them," Rowan said. "They are. Keep moving." The corridor smelled of bleach and hot bread. Fluorescent tubes buzzed overhead. Behind them, Malcolm's voice carried through the door. Mr. Reed became aggressive after a lawful offer was declined. Isaiah stopped. "He's changing the record while the witnesses are still seated." Rowan opened a windowless room. Inside. At the banquet entrance, Allison gripped her tray until the metal edge pressed white crescents into her knuckles. Victoria approached. "Give me your phone." "I need it for work." "You recorded private guests." "I recorded my station." Malcolm joined them. "Place it on the table." "Will his statement be taken too?" "That is not your concern." "It became my concern when she hit him." Malcolm lowered his voice. "Finish your shift, or explain why police seized your property." Allison slipped the phone into her apron. "Then prepare a receipt." Across the room, Maeve unfolded the stained contract. Her glasses trembled. "Chief, this seal is wrong." "Sit down, Maeve." The notary was Elias Pruitt. "Not death certificates." Maeve pointed to the date. "Pruitt died 14 months before this transfer." Victoria reached for the page. Maeve held it to her chest. "You said you saw nothing." "I said nothing." Maeve's voice cracked. "That is not the same thing." In the administrative room, Rowan set a metal chair in the center. "Sit." Cold passed through Isaiah's trousers as he lowered himself. Crow stayed by the door. "He asked if he was free to leave." "He is detained while we establish facts," Rowan said. "What facts?" That depends on the chief's report. Isaiah looked at Crow. Write that down. Malcolm entered, carrying Isaiah's old federal identification and appointment letter. This expired 8 years ago. He dropped the card on the table. And this letter could come from any printer. Crow glanced at the embossed seal. It has a verification number. Malcolm's eyes fixed on him. Wait outside. Crow hesitated, then closed the door. Malcolm placed an incident form before Isaiah. Sign that you disrupted the event, refused instructions, and made threatening claims. I asked questions. You accused my family of crimes. I asked how a sealed registry code reached Victoria's contract. Isaiah folded the form and returned it. At 8 tomorrow, Malcolm said, your seed barn and residence will be sealed pending transfer. Miriam's seed room is not on the west parcel. It is now included under emergency preservation. Isaiah's fingers tightened against the chair. Malcolm noticed. Sign, and I can delay it. Bring me the order. Rowan accepted an envelope from an aide and placed it before Isaiah. The paper smelled of fresh toner. The order carried the same dead notary's seal Maeve had identified outside. Isaiah touched the imprint. Who prepared this? Your signature is the only part that matters. From the corridor came the dry scratch of Crow's pen moving across his notebook. The scratch of Crow's pen stopped when Malcolm opened the door. Officer, leave the hall. Crow looked past him at Isaiah. Am I being relieved from the incident? You're being reassigned. To where? Parking control. Crow closed his notebook, but not before Isaiah saw the last line. Order presented after detention. The room shrank when the door shut. Fluorescent light flattened every surface. The metal chair drew heat from Isaiah's back, and fresh toner stung his nose. Malcolm tapped the signature line. You have 10 minutes. For a false statement? For a clean exit. Isaiah turned the paper sideways. Emergency orders require a judge's electronic authorization. It was authorized. Then the verification code should work. Rowan pulled the document closer. You're in no position to test procedure. That is when procedure matters. Malcolm's phone vibrated. He silenced it. Your daughter has been calling, he said. She sounds upset. Isaiah's fingers tightened around the brass watch. You spoke to Lena? She was informed the property may be inaccessible by morning. She works in Atlanta. Malcolm's gaze shifted for half a second. Isaiah leaned back. You didn't know that. A uniformed aide entered with an evidence envelope. Chief, this was taken from the farmer's truck. The original deed lay inside. Isaiah stood. The chair legs scraped concrete. You searched my vehicle? Inventory procedure, Malcolm said. My truck is locked. The civic lot is municipal. The steel box is not. Rowan pushed the chair back with his boot. Sit down. Isaiah remained standing. Seal that deed separately. Record who opened the box. The aide looked at Malcolm. Do it, Rowan said, for chain of custody. Malcolm turned on him. There is no criminal case. Then why are we holding evidence? The question stayed between them. 3 short knocks came from outside. Allison's voice followed. Room service. No, Malcolm called. I have water. Glass touched the floor. Then came a whisper through the gap. Your phone is still with your coat. Rowan opened the door. Allison stood beside an empty pitcher. Move away. She bent to lift the glass. Her apron pocket flashed red before she turned. Malcolm shut the door. Who else is recording? He asked. No idea, Isaiah said. You planned this. I planned dinner. The chief lifted the deed envelope. You used to investigate land fraud. That does not make you untouchable. No. Your federal card expired. Your wife is gone. Your farm is in default. Whatever title you think protects you. Isaiah's stopped watch clicked once beneath his thumb. Malcolm paused. Isaiah looked at the dead notary's seal, the seized deed, and the blank incident form. I don't need protection, he said. I need you to keep making decisions. A radio crackled in the corridor. Chief, state investigators are at the front entrance requesting preservation of all land transfer records. Rowan's face changed first. Malcolm reached for the radio, but Isaiah was watching the deed envelope. One corner had split open, revealing a second sheet tucked behind the original. Across its top, in Miriam's handwriting, were 4 words. Ask who owns Harrow. At 11:43 p.m., Isaiah stepped from the Civic Hall into rain with the deed envelope under his jacket. Captain Brooks had released him after photographing the split seal and Miriam's note. Malcolm remained inside. The farm order was still active. Lena waited beneath the portico. You're hurt? No. She touched the mark on his cheek, then drew back. You missed 6 calls. My phone was taken. They said the house could be sealed by sunrise. I know. Wipers beat across the glass until barn lights appeared through the trees. Boxes lined the awning. Miriam's beans, corn, squash, and clover had been removed from the seed room and stacked on concrete. Rain blew beneath the roof. One box sagged at the bottom, water spreading through the words for spring planting. Lena ran to it. They came while you were detained. Who? 2 county workers. Crow stopped them before they entered the house. Isaiah lifted the soaked box. Cardboard softened against his palms. Damp paper and dry earth filled the air. These were her last saved seeds, Lena said. Not the last. He opened it. Several packets had split. Pale beans clung to the wet lining. Lena placed a folder beside him. We can sell the south field before the auction. That field feeds the lower irrigation line. It also buys time. For 1 season. 1 season is more than 48 hours. Wind rattled the roof. A loose gate struck its post in the dark. Isaiah turned her coffee cup so the handle faced her. How much? Enough to clear every version of the debt. And after fees. We keep the house, the barn, most of the acreage. Most. Her shoulders lowered. Mom is gone. The land is not her. He looked at the wet handwriting. She made me promise. She made us promise to live here, not drown beside it. Then what is it? Lena's fingers slipped on the folder clasp. You keep waiting for the perfect document while they move her things into the rain. Isaiah opened the agreement. The paper was warm from her truck heater. Sign the south field over, she said. Tomorrow we fight from a house we still own. He took Miriam's fountain pen from the drawer. The nib scratched once before ink began to flow. Lena exhaled. Thank you. He reached the signature page. A county certification was attached behind it. Isaiah held it under the bench lamp. Yellow light exposed an embossed circle beside the parcel description. Elias Pruitt. The dead notary's name appeared below a date from 3 months earlier. Where did this come from? The county portal. When? Tonight. He slid the certification free. This isn't only on their foreclosure order. Lena read the seal twice. It's on a private sale form. And Harrow's transfer used the same name. The gate struck again. Isaiah capped Miriam's pen. You're not signing. Not this. Then we lose the house. Maybe. He placed the wet seed packets beside the false certification. But someone prepared this before you asked for it. Tires crushed gravel outside. A dark county vehicle halted beyond the rain curtain. Isaiah folded the agreement and switched off the lamp. In the darkness, the dead notary's seal remained faintly visible where the paper had pressed into his palm. The county vehicle idled beyond the rain curtain, headlights whitening the gravel. Lena whispered, "Who is that?" Isaiah slid the false certification beneath the seed ledger. "Stay behind me." Officer Daniel Crow stepped out without his cap, rain darkening his shoulders. "I came alone." "You were at the hall," Lena said. "I was reassigned. Chief Hale ordered the seed room sealed at 6. No judge signed it." Isaiah watched water drip from Crow's notebook. "Why tell me?" "I wrote down what happened. They also searched your truck without logging the lockbox." Crow handed him 3 photographs. One showed Malcolm's order. Another showed the west parcel number crossed out and replaced with Isaiah's homestead. "Who changed it?" Lena asked. "The chief initialed it." A gate struck its post. The third image carried the dead notary's seal. "Send these somewhere safe," Isaiah said. "To whom?" He removed a phone from beneath the seed cabinet. Its battery glowed at 6%. "You kept another phone here?" Lena asked. "Miriam did." He dialed from memory. A woman answered. "Price?" "Open the sealed file." The line went quiet. "Isaiah, where are you?" "At the farm. The Harrow reference surfaced in a private contract. Same dead notary on 3 new documents." "Is Chief Hale involved?" "He detained me, searched my truck, and tried to seize the deed." Crow stepped closer. "An officer can verify that." Isaiah handed him the phone. "This is Daniel Crow, Pine Hollow Police. I witnessed an unlogged search, an altered parcel order, and pressure to sign a false statement." "Officer Crow, do not return to your station," the woman said. "Photograph every notebook page and use the link I'm sending." The call ended. A message appeared. "Simone Price, Office of Public Integrity." Crow looked at Isaiah. "You know the Deputy Attorney General?" "She knows the work." "What work?" Lena asked. Isaiah connected the phone to a charger beside Miriam's radio. "Before I came home, I audited federal land programs." "You said grants." "I followed forged deeds, shell buyers, and forced sales." "And now?" He opened a locked drawer. Inside lay current credentials and Malcolm's rejected appointment letter. "Now, I chaired the Independent Farmland Protection Commission." Lena read the title twice. "You never told me." "I could not bring the office into our case until the evidence touched another family." Harrow. "And 10 more." The upload bar crawled forward. Rain ticked on the metal roof. At 98%, the phone dimmed. "Don't die now," Crow muttered. Isaiah lowered the brightness. The file completed. Then the first blue delivery check appeared. Lena pressed her sleeve to her mouth. Crow photographed his notebook while Isaiah added Miriam's note. "Ask who owns Harrow." A second blue check appeared. The phone rang. Simone spoke first. "The Harrow buyer traces through a trust controlled by Victoria Hale's Foundation. We are reopening the sealed investigation tonight." "What happens now?" Lena asked. "Preserve the farm," Simone said. "Captain Brooks is moving on the Civic Hall and County Archive." Beyond the rain, engines turned onto the highway, heading back toward the dinner that had not yet ended. At 9:04 p.m., the music stopped mid-note. Captain Owen Brooks entered with rain on his coat, followed by Rachel Montgomery and 4 investigators. "No one leaves," Brooks said. Malcolm rose. "On whose authority?" "State public integrity." "This is a county event." "Then preserve county records." Phones covered the white tablecloths. Dessert sat untouched. Allison stood near the service door, one hand over her apron pocket. Victoria pointed at Isaiah. "He called you because he lost a property dispute." Brooks faced Malcolm. Was Mr. Reed detained? Briefly. Was his vehicle searched? For inventory. Was he arrested? Malcolm did not answer. Rachel Montgomery, 39, narrow-faced and exact, placed a recorder on the table. Chief Hale, step away from every phone and document. You are disrupting a local matter. You altered a parcel order after an officer questioned it. Chairs creaked. Maeve Carter lowered her menu. Grant Voss reached for his briefcase. Leave it closed, Rachel said. It contains private contracts. That is why it stays. Outside, the records van opened. A technician carried in a box labeled Reed. Isaiah. West Tract. Isaiah recognized the parcel number beneath his name. That box was in the archive basement, Maeve said. Malcolm turned. You don't know that. I logged it 3 years ago. Brooks opened the top folder. Tax notices, appraisals, and Miriam's first complaint lay inside. 6 pages bore a stamp. Closed. Insufficient basis. Isaiah touched the table edge. She sent 6 letters. Victoria folded her arms. And none proved anything. Brooks lifted another page. This one was never reviewed. Malcolm Hale's initials filled the signature line. The ventilation system hummed. A kitchen timer kept beeping behind the doors. Administrative backlog, Malcolm said. On 11 farms? Rachel asked. Grant's face tightened. Brooks turned to Isaiah. Identify this registry code. It belongs to a sealed federal transfer file. And your role, Malcolm cut in. His federal credential expired. Isaiah removed the appointment letter, still creased from the windowless room. Brooks read the first line aloud. Chairman, Georgia Independent Farmland Protection Commission. A donor whispered. Chairman? Victoria stared at her father. You said he was just a farmer. He is. Isaiah met her eyes. Both can be true. Allison's phone chimed inside her apron. She placed its screen up. The recording showed 26 minutes and a successful upload. I sent it before you ordered the phones down. Rachel sealed the device in a clear bag. Good. Malcolm moved toward the entrance. Brooks blocked him. Stay inside. You cannot hold me here. You told this room the same thing about Mr. Reed. This time, no one looked away. The technician opened a second box. A green ledger lay on top, its spine marked with Victoria's foundation name. Grant whispered, That should not be here. Rachel heard him. She opened the cover. 11 farm names appeared in one column. Beside each were a police incident number, an appraisal date, and a sale price. The last line was blank except for fresh ink. Read. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. At 10:12 the next morning, 11 farm names filled the hearing room screen. Isaiah sat beneath lights. Beside him lay the brass watch that had stopped during dinner. Judge Margaret Cole, 61, entered. This hearing concerns land transfers, tax enforcement, and police involvement. Proceed. The state requests suspension of every sale linked to Hale Development Trust, Victoria Hale's Foundation, or Grant Voss, Simone Price said. Grant's attorney rose. Separate transactions. Rachel Montgomery clicked the remote. Lines joined the names. Harrow, Bell, Mercer, Boone, Carter, 6 more. Then Reed. Different families, Rachel said. Same sequence. A disputed tax notice, a police visit before appraisal, a forced sale below market value, a hidden buyer. Judge Cole leaned forward. Who controlled the buyer? A trust chart appeared. Malcolm Hale, Simone said. The gallery stirred. Malcolm sat without his uniform jacket. Victoria stared at the ledger, sealed in plastic. You said those trusts belonged to investors. You signed the pages, Malcolm replied. Not the police reports. Isaiah loosened his watch strap. The leather had carved a line around his wrist. Simone continued. For 12 years, police incident numbers were opened against owners who resisted access. Those reports marked the farms as risky. Judge Cole looked at Malcolm. Were officers used to pressure sales? No. Allison's recording played. Malcolm's voice filled the room. At 8 tomorrow, county assessors will enter the West Tract, with police support. Then Victoria. Enough to keep your daughter from inheriting a lawsuit. The recording ended with the silver spoon rolling across the banquet floor. Mr. Reed, why was your farm targeted last? Judge Cole asked. Isaiah stood. My wife noticed neighbors disappearing from the same roads. She wrote 6 letters and kept copies. Did you begin this inquiry to save your land? No. Why not? Because a title can protect one man faster than it protects 11 families. Rachel displayed the prices. Each farm had sold for less than half its value. Together, the parcels formed a corridor toward a planned industrial site. Grant leaned toward his lawyer. This was never supposed to be public. The live microphone carried it. Judge Cole turned. What was not supposed to be public? Rachel marked the timestamp before his lawyer killed the sound. Simone arranged the recording, Crow's notebook, Maeve's logs, Miriam's letters, and the altered order across one table. The state requests an asset freeze and referral for fraud, misuse of office, evidence tampering, and conspiracy. Malcolm looked at Isaiah. You built this around me. Isaiah touched the stopped watch. No, you kept adding pieces. Judge Cole signed the order. The pen scratched through the room. All 11 sales are stayed. The Reed auction is canceled. Every file will be reopened. Lena covered her mouth. Isaiah waited until the clerk stamped the order. Only then did he unfasten the watch and place it beside Miriam's first letter. Behind him, chairs creaked as the families rose. Maeve Carter stood clutching her employee badge. I have more records, she said, and I should have brought them years ago. Maeve's employee badge clicked against the witness stand as she folded and unfolded it for the 3rd time. Judge Cole waited. I saw irregularities in 2019, Maeve said. Then again in 2021. Same parcel codes. Same dead notary. Why did you not report them? Simone asked. I did. Internally. To whom? Chief Hale's office. Malcolm's attorney rose. Speculation. Maeve lifted a storage receipt. This shows where the archive box went after my report. Rachel placed it beneath the camera. The destination line read, Police Administration. Restricted. The lights hummed. Isaiah kept one palm over Miriam's first letter. My supervisor told me I had a pension, medical coverage, and a daughter in college, Maeve said. He said I should learn the difference between an error and a career-ending accusation. Who was he? Judge Cole asked. Maeve named him. And you remained silent? For 6 years. She removed the badge and set it on the rail. I kept saying I was protecting my family. Then I watched Mr. Reed stand alone at that dinner while I held proof. Her voice broke. She wiped her face once and continued. Allison Park testified next. Her shoes squeaked on the floor. Did Mr. Reed threaten Victoria Hale? Simone asked. No. Raise his voice? No. Why did you record? Allison looked toward Victoria. Because everyone else was pretending not to see. The speakers carried the demand for an apology, the slap, the spoon rolling, Malcolm ordering phones away. Victoria lowered her head. Her attorney, Julian Moss, 45, with a silver tie beneath his chin, leaned close. Do not react, she whispered. He used my foundation. We'll discuss that privately. Officer Crow entered with his rain-warped notebook sealed in plastic. He read each line, Wrong parcel number, no judicial order, vehicle searched before arrest, order altered after detention. Malcolm watched him. Daniel, you misunderstood procedure. Crow faced him. You told me context mattered more than what I saw. And now? Now I wrote down what I saw. Rachel introduced emails from Victoria's account. Some approved below-market purchases. Others carried her signature on attachments she had never opened. Simone separated the stacks. These you knowingly authorized. Victoria nodded. These? I didn't. Who had access to your electronic signature? My father, Grant, our finance director. Malcolm leaned toward her. Think carefully. Victoria looked at him for the first time that morning. You told me the farms were abandoned. They were distressed assets. You said police visits were welfare checks. They were lawful. You put my name on this. You benefited from it. Her chair moved back an inch. Judge Cole ordered every device, cloud account, and foundation file preserved. Moss requested a recess, but Victoria stayed seated after everyone rose. Isaiah passed her table. I didn't know about your wife's letters, she said. He stopped. But you knew about the prices. In the hallway, Maeve stood without her badge, holding a banker's box. There are 4 more ledgers, she said, and 1 file marked with Miriam's name. Isaiah took the box. Inside, papers slid against one another like dry leaves. The banker's box smelled of dust and damp cardboard. Isaiah carried it into the hearing room. Maeve followed without her badge. Rachel opened the file marked Miriam Reed and found 6 letters, each stamped received, none entered in the public index. Simone read the routing slips. Everyone went to Chief Hale's office. Victoria stared at Miriam's first letter. She named Harrow, Bell, and Mercer before they sold, Victoria said. Malcolm kept his eyes forward. She misunderstood routine acquisitions. You used my signature. Your foundation handled the purchases. You told me the farms were abandoned. You liked the donors and the office. Victoria's fingers stopped on the page. During recess, Grant Voss tried to leave. Rachel stopped him. Investigators are waiting downstairs. By noon, Malcolm Hale was suspended. His access card, phone, and keys were sealed in clear bags. Each plastic click carried through the room. Judge Cole froze the trust accounts and companies connected to the land. Grant was taken for questioning. Victoria was removed as foundation director. At 2:30, reporters filled the civic auditorium. An empty chair stood beside Isaiah. He placed Miriam's photograph on it, angled toward the microphone. In the picture, sunlight touched her cheek, and one hand rested on a seed sack. Victoria approached the podium without her white jacket. I'm sorry for what happened at the dinner, she said. I was wrong to strike Mr. Reed, and I failed to question transactions carrying my name. Camera shutters snapped. I did not know the full scheme. I will turn over messages and account records. A woman from the Harrow family stood. Will that return the 6 years my father spent renting his own field? Victoria's pages shook. No. Will it reopen his store? No. The woman sat. No one applauded. Victoria stepped away, but Isaiah spoke. Leave the microphone on. She turned. Miriam wrote 6 letters. Your foundation received 2. I never saw them. You signed the replies. My father drafted them. But you signed. The empty chair gave a soft wooden creak as someone shifted the platform. Every face turned toward Miriam's photograph. Victoria lowered her eyes. Yes. Malcolm entered through a side door. Without his uniform jacket, he seemed smaller, though his voice stayed firm. This has become political theater. Isaiah looked at him. My wife asked for an audit. She accused public servants without proof. She gave you parcel numbers, dates, and names. She was persistent. The word hung in the warm room. Isaiah rested one hand on the empty chair. She was right. Malcolm glanced at the photograph, then away. Outside, rainwater dripped from the portico. Families held freeze orders against their coats. Lena waited with Miriam's seed ledger pressed to her chest. Victoria followed, carrying a sealed envelope. These are the private emails, she said. There is another ledger at my father's lake house. Simone took it. Exact location? Victoria gave the address. Investigators turned toward their vehicles. Isaiah descended the steps beside Lena. For the first time, Malcolm Hale's name appeared on the search order instead of the signature line. At 8:30 the next morning, 11 worn case folders lay across the commission table beside a binder marked Proposed Rules. The old files smelled of dust and damp. The new pages carried sharp ink. Simone Price slid a settlement toward Isaiah. The state can restore your title today. And the others? Each family still needs review. Then we are not finished. Lena leaned closer. Signing does not stop you from helping them. It makes my farm the exception. The Harrow family held their freeze order. Maeve Carter had brought 4 ledgers. Officer Crow waited by the door. Henry Boyd opened the binder. Your proposal goes beyond this case. It has to. Independent review before any rural tax auction. Public disclosure of every trust owner. No police presence in a private land dispute without a judge's order. Add notice to every heir, Lena said. A county attorney objected. That could delay valid sales for months. Maeve placed one of Miriam's letters beside the binder. Silence delayed this for 6 years. The attorney lowered his eyes. By noon, lights heated the room. The folders had been opened one by one. Inside were copied appraisals, incident numbers created before owners were contacted, and signatures routed through Victoria's foundation. Grant Voss's lawyer called them clerical overlaps. Lena held up 2 reports. These farms are 40 miles apart. They list the same broken gate, dry well, and oak tree. A murmur crossed the gallery. Boyd turned to Isaiah. What remedy do you request personally? Isaiah looked at the binder, then at Miriam's letter. None that stops at my fence. The room settled. Reopen every linked sale. Fund lawyers for families who cannot afford them. Record every police contact tied to land transfer. Remove local departments when their leaders have a financial connection. The county attorney tapped his pen. Chief Hale is suspended. Rules are not written for one chief. During recess, Lena found Isaiah in the hallway, turning a paper cup as though it had a handle. You did that with Mom's cups. He looked down. You could have the deed back today. I know. And if they vote no? We appeal. She tightened her grip on the folder. I accepted Boyd's offer. The law clinic? I'll run the rural cases. You wanted Atlanta. I wanted useful work. Isaiah touched the crooked filing tabs. Your mother would fix those. She still might. Half her notes are here. At 4:12 p.m., the panel returned. Rain had stopped, and pale light crossed the files. The chairwoman read the vote. Unanimous. Disputed rural auctions would pause automatically. Beneficial ownership would be public. Police could not enter private property for civil appraisal without judicial authorization. A permanent review board and Lena's clinic would examine every transfer in the ledgers. Maeve exhaled. Crow closed his notebook. The Harrow woman pressed her freeze order to her chest. Boyd handed Isaiah the final rule book. He placed it beside the old files, not above them. Why there? Lena asked. So no one forgets what wrote it. Outside, workers peeled the seizure notice from Miriam's seed barn. Beneath it, sheltered from rain, a small green shoot had pushed through the mud. 1 year later, at 6:42 a.m., Isaiah turned the key in Miriam's seed barn and heard children laughing beyond the open doors. The seizure notice had been replaced by a wooden sign, Reed Community Seed and Land Center. Inside, labeled drawers held seed packets and appeal forms. Lena stood at a folding table, helping an elderly couple complete a title review. "Parcel number first," she said. "Then we check every owner behind the buyer." The man removed his cap. "No police visit?" "Not for a civil appraisal, not without a judge." Isaiah set a box of spring seed beside them. The cardboard was dry now. Miriam's handwriting remained faint across the lid. At 9, the county published its land transfer report. 11 sales had been voided. 8 families returned to their acreage. 3 chose compensation because the years away had changed too much. Maeve Carter, restored to the archive, signed each file into the public index. Daniel Crow had transferred to the State Review Unit. His first training session began with a photograph of the altered Reed order. "Write what you see," he told the officers. "Not what a superior needs you to see." Allison managed the center's kitchen on weekends. She kept the phone that recorded the dinner locked in a drawer, its cracked screen facing up. By noon, a court letter arrived. Malcolm Hale had lost his position and authority to serve in public office while the criminal and civil cases continued. Grant Voss accepted a plea agreement requiring restitution and disclosure of the shell companies. Victoria was barred from directing charitable trusts for 10 years. In exchange for reduced penalties, she surrendered the final ledger and testified about every signature she knowingly approved. She came to the farm that afternoon without a lawyer. Isaiah met her beneath the barn awning. Wind moved through new wheat, carrying warm soil and cut grass. "I found one more account," she said, offering a sealed envelope. "It paid for the police reports." He took it, but did not open it. "I'm sorry. I know that doesn't return anything." "No." "Do you think you'll ever forgive me?" Isaiah looked toward the center, where the Harrow family stacked seed packets beside Miriam's photograph. "That isn't today's work." Victoria nodded and left. At sunset, the 11 families gathered around a long table outside the barn. 3 places held photographs for those who had not lived to see the rulings. Lena set one empty place beside Isaiah. "For Mom." He removed the old brass watch. A repairman had replaced the cracked spring, but left the scratch across its face. Isaiah wound it carefully. The second hand moved. During dinner, the Harrow woman passed him beans grown from seed saved before her family lost the farm. "Miriam gave these to my father," she said. Isaiah placed one bean beside the watch. "She kept better records than all of us." Lena smiled. "And worse filing tabs." The table laughed softly. Later, Isaiah carried Miriam's photograph into the seed room. The public ledger rested where the false auction notice had once been nailed. Every transfer now showed its true owner, review date, and appeal status. He switched off the light. Through the open door, fireflies moved above the field. On the workbench, the repaired watch kept time beside an open packet marked for spring planting. Nothing hurried it. Have you ever seen a family, worker, or neighbor forced to fight a system that expected them to stay quiet? Share what happened in the comments, especially the moment when one person finally chose to speak or preserve the evidence. Pass this story to someone who believes dignity should never depend on wealth, status, or connections. Stories like Isaiah's matter because accountability is not only about one person winning, It is about changing the rules that allowed the harm to continue. Subscribe for more stories about justice, quiet resilience, courageous witnesses, and lasting systemic change. And remember the people who kept records, asked one more question, or refused to look away. Sometimes that small decision is where the truth begins.